All right, so this example is a little different than some of the others. So in this example, we're given a table of travel times to work for workers age 16 and over who do not work at home. Okay, so but the random variable is not a finite discrete values. They are not finite discrete values. We're given these intervals. So it's telling me that the travel time is less than 10 minutes for 17,725 workers. Okay. It's telling me that the travel time is between 10 and 15 minutes for 18,915 workers, and so on, right? It's giving me the frequency for each one of these intervals of time rather than discrete time points. But what we can do is convert this to a finite discrete problem just by taking the average of the times within that interval. Okay, so that's essentially what we're going to do. We have a little bit of a problem at the end points, but we have a little hint that says that assume less than 10 is between 0 and 10, and we can assume that we're told to assume that greater than 60 means it's between 60 and 90. Okay, so we can just average the endpoints of each interval and get a single value. All right, so I'm going to take this table of data that we're given here, and I'm going to make a new table, but I'm going to convert those time intervals into discrete time points. Okay, so let me just copy this down. All right, so I've created a new table here, and I've just copied down all the time intervals that were given up here. This is the same time intervals. And then what I've done is just average the two endpoints of each interval. So in this first one, I averaged the endpoints are 0 and 10, so the average of those is 5. So I'm just adding 0 plus 10 divided by 2. For the next time interval, the average of 10 and 15, so 10 plus 15 divided by 2 gives you 12.5, and so on, all the way down. I'm just averaging the endpoints of each interval. And then in this last one, I'm using what they say right here, which is I'm going to average between 60 and 90. So I just take 60 plus 90 divided by 2, I get 75. Okay, so now I've converted all of these time intervals into a single, to a single number, all right, that I can deal with. And then what we're going to do is look at the probability of each one. Now we're given a frequency. We're given the number of occurrences of each one of these time intervals. Now, one thing we need to know is the total number of workers in this particular survey. So we need the total number of workers. And we can get that just by adding up all of these numbers in the second row. Add those all up, and what I get is 132,277. So there were 132,277 workers surveyed in this, to get this data. So to get the probability of each one, I'm just going to take each one of these, the frequency of occurrence, and divide it by the total number of workers. Okay, so this first number will be, the probability will be 17,725 all over 132,277. Okay, and when I did that, I got 0.134. Okay, and I'm just going to do that all the way down. The next one is going to be 18,915 divided by 132,277, and so on. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and write down all of those probability calculations. All right, so now I've calculated all those probabilities, and now I can compute the expected value. Okay, because it's asking for the average time it takes to get to work. Now I could just take each one of these and take it times the frequency and divide by 132,277. That'd be another way to compute the average. But I'm going to compute the expected value. Okay, so I'm going to take each one of these outcomes, a random variable x that I've converted by averaging the endpoints of the time intervals, and I'm going to multiply times the probability. So I'm going to take 5 times 0.134, and then I'm going to take 12.5 times 0.143, and add those all up. Right? Now, I'm not going to write that all out because it's a lot of work. So, but I'm just going to put it in my calculator, right? 5 times the probability, 12.5 times this probability, and so on. Add them all up. And what I get is 27.35 minutes, right? Because our random variable is the travel time in minutes. Okay, so this is telling us that the average time it takes a worker to get to work, travel to work from home, I guess, is about 27.35 minutes for this sample of 132,277 workers. All right, well, I think that's it. That's all for the examples in this lecture, and I will see you in class.